If you spent any time playing a co-op multiplayer game lately, you've probably felt it. We are in the era of co-op slop. Developers just seem terrified of making a straightforward, tightly paced shooter. Every new release has to be a bloated, overcomplicated checklist of mechanics. And Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core is just the latest title to fall into this trap. If you're wondering if it's worth playing solo, the short answer is no. It is fundamentally unfriendly to single-player experiences. But the real issue is much bigger than just bad solo play. Like a lot of games lately, Rogue Core is just suffering from an identity crisis. It wants to be a roguelite, it also wants to be the original Deep Rock Galactic, and it wants to be a Left 4 Dead style shooter, all at the same time. The result is a game that buckles under the weight of its own progression systems. This is a sickness dragging down almost every single co-op shooter from the last decade. If you're wondering how Rogue Core is actually different from the original, the answer is that it abandons almost everything that made the first game great. The original game was loved for its pacing. It was a chill, procedural mining experience where you dropped in with a full loadout and explored at your own pace. Rogue Core just kind of strips all that away. Instead of taking your time, you are now chained to an aggression meter. And if you take too long to explore, the threat level spikes, and endless enemy hordes just attack you constantly. It takes the relaxed loop and turns it into a frantic sprint, with way too much stuff to do in between just to progress. On top of that, the baseline difficulty is pretty hard, and it's much worse for a single player experience. Dropping into your first run is probably the same as starting off on Hazard 3 in the original game. It basically demands perfection from the start. So does it get anything right? Yes. The core gameplay is solid, the class system is heavily designed around the cooperative effort, which does feel great if you have a coordinated team. Visually, it pairs modern lighting techniques with flat, almost N64 era style shading. And on the technical side, the performance was pretty good for me, and I was running it on a 5060 Ti at 1440p. The visual issue is, though, that you rarely get to see that high-end lighting at work. You spend the vast majority of your time just stumbling through a pitch-black cave, with the only illumination you get coming from crystals, flares, or your flashlight. So why does the progression system fail? Because it simply lacks focus. Instead of dropping you into a simple loop where you just accomplish your objective and extract, it forces you to manage dozens of different systems, all with randomness, by the way. Playing this game is like trying to wrangle 3 Jack Russell Terriers with ADD. You're forced to dig for XP, which is easily noticeable because it is bright green crystals, but then you also have to call down your machine, dump XP into it, hunt for ammo supplies, hunt for parts so you can build upgrades to your weapons, and this is all while enemies swarm out of nowhere. So to understand why this fails, you have to ask what made older co-op games work. Look back at Left 4 Dead. It had a simple core loop. Run through a map, pick up weapons, blast zombies, make it to a safe house. The fun and the tension was not created by hunting for better stats. It was created simply by the fact that you had to go from point A to point B and survive overwhelming hordes. It was fast, brutal, and focused. Modern studios just seem terrified of that simplicity. Back 4 Blood, made by the exact same developers as Left 4 Dead, ruined that classic flow by overcomplicating it. We saw this same incredible failure with Killing Floor 3. The original game was a masterpiece, and the second one was pretty great, but not quite as good as the first. But they were pure arcade survival. Tripwire took a brilliant horror shooter and turned it into a generic sci-fi monetization checklist. We have watched this exact same de-evolution happen with Call of Duty Zombies. The earlier iterations just gave you a pure arcade loop, turn on the power, buy guns off the wall, and survive. Now you're forced to do 300 steps just to complete some convoluted so-called Easter egg that is actually just a mandatory part of the map. Real Easter eggs are hidden secrets, like finding the beating heart inside of the Statue of Liberty in GTA 4 or the precursor orb in Uncharted. They aren't mandatory wiki-guided puzzles you need to solve just to play the game. Now, it is not that modern shooters are completely incapable of pulling this off. These might throw you for a loop, but take Painkiller Reboot and John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. Neither were massive hits, but structurally, they did prove that modern systems can work. A lot of the reason I think they failed is because they were already targeted and perceived as just more co-op slop. Visually, Painkiller is incredible. Even on console hardware, the game is just great to look at. However, both it and Toxic Commando share a same noticeable quirk. The controller just feels sluggish when you're aiming. You will get used to it, but it does feel off at first. It kind of feels like frame generation latency, but it's hard to say. Could just be some same engine level issues or controller precision shared by the publisher. But despite the input issue, they completely understand momentum. Painkiller keeps the focus exactly where it belongs, which is on the fight. Toxic Commando takes a Halo-style open-area sandbox approach, giving you multiple objectives without forcing you to do all of them. It is fun just to hop in your truck and tackle a side quest simply because you want to, not because you're forced to. If Rogue Core wants to integrate roguelite mechanics, they need to strip away the excess baggage. Do not force players to stop in their tracks and dig for materials to get basic upgrades. The game is currently in early access, meaning there's still time to fix it. They just need to take a look at their own game, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, which stripped down everything to a simple core loop, and it succeeded because of it. Simplicity is not a weakness in a cooperative shooter. It is a strength, but as always, the choice is yours. Are you going to play or pass on Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.